thoracotomy machine in the operating room, and the chest wasn't open yet. You would do what they call an open chest thoracotomy on the left, between the 4th and 5th rib, and reach in and squeeze the left ventricle. We were taught that as students in 1953. In 1960, the American Heart heard in Europe and England they were saving a few lives by compressing high in the sternum, 15 compressions here, and 2 mouths. That went on for almost 4 decades. Now, as a doctor, I never got certified in CPR. I was practicing as a family practitioner in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, into the 90s, but I did research and found out that with CPR like this, less than 3% were being saved on the streets and less than 20% in hospitals. That is a little ridiculous. So I never got certified like a lot of my partners, doctors, during all those decades. I started saving lives in 1991, January 6th. I saved a gentleman who was a heavy smoker. His ribs stuck way out with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And he passed out, and I went right over the left ventricle. I didn't open it, of course, but I compressed deeply, got a facial flush, and you know what? That night he was up watching TV, lived 8 years, and died of cancer. I also was involved in 1998, September 17th, at a place in Avalon, New Jersey, and I saved a guy who was dead 5 or 6 minutes. And I worked on him right away, and he lived 7 years after that. He did have some brain damage, but he knew me, and he would hug me when I would see him, and it was very impressive. I've been teaching it ever since. I teach it almost every day, and the big thing about it is, if you get a call, somebody passes out, and it's a stranger or whatever, you are protected by the Good Samaritan law and rescue doctrine. You cannot be sued if the patient doesn't live. The point is, if you call 911, it takes at least 10, 15, 20 minutes before the ambulance gets here. The point I'm stressing is that you are compressing a loved one or something right away and getting a facial flush, and you don't have to mouth, and you will get blood to the brain, and the brain is more alive when the ambulance gets there. If they have to defibrillate it, they will do it. If not, they will take over. And the people I saved, they went to old CPR, and I insisted they move down where you pledge allegiance, where my maneuver is. And of course, those guys did live. And the point is, there is more interest in the maneuver through the excitement of what's happening in our soldiers in Iraq. They are dying of heart stoppage when mines and bombs are going off every day. And they're using CPR, which in the last 2.5 years has moved from high in the sternum down to the nipple level, which is my level, okay? And they are saving a few more people with that. The point is, CPR is effective to a point, and I called the head of the American Heart. I said, you want me to get scientific proof? And did you get scientific proof when you moved down from high in the sternum down to this level? And I was told that they heard in Japan, a few more lives were saved. So they documented that. Now, it's interesting. I gave a seminar recently, maybe a month or 2 ago, and a guy raised his arm up, and he was in the Coast Guard Reserve, and he said, we are doing almost what you're talking about. And I said, yes, we're teaching it. We go down at the nipple level, but we go 1 inch off to the left. And of course, I'm 3.5 to 4 inches. So it's getting closer. I would say that that's the way to go. I'm going to show you quickly what to do. The person passes out, as I say, they should be on a firm surface. And here is a mannequin, and I'm going to show exactly how you handle it. Okay, this right away, you kneel down on the patient's left side, and what you do, here's the sternum in the middle, and here's the xiphoid process, the tip of the sternum, and here's your nipple level, and you are 3.5, 4 inches off center. And right here, you can either make sure it's palm over palm, or you can lock like they do in CPR, so it's palm over palm, straight arm, and you compress at a rate 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, that's the rate. Here we go. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005, and you'll see the facial flush. And if the person starts responding, then you check the carotid here, and if it beats, then, and they're starting to breathe, you can stop. Otherwise, you keep doing this until the ambulance gets there, and then they can take over, either compressing this way or the old, which is the ineffective way, and then they also bring stimulants to get the heart going, like adrenaline and needles and stuff. And of course they inject oxygen, they endoscopy, oxygen, endoscopic type thing. Okay, and then the person rallies and that's it. Also show you the important feature of how the Williams maneuver can save infants up to a year of age. A lot of prenatal babies are born and they go into cardiac arrest. And I have conferred with one of the top doctors at Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. And they used to just push 2 fingers on the breastbone. And now, over the last 3-4 years, they are doing something different and better. And what are they doing? They're putting the babies on their back, on the backs, and then they put their fingers around the back of the chest, and they put the thumbs in the front of the chest, and this thumb here, my right thumb on the left side of the baby, they're compressing both, but that right thumb is pressing the left ventricle, and they're saving over 90% of infants up to a year of age. And they get thousands of infants prematurely born in cardiac arrest. And the importance of that is so significant. I called the American Heart up. I said, look, they're compressing everything, of course, but they're compressing the left ventricle. Does not prove the point of the Williams maneuver. And they told me, he said, well, you can't put your hands around an adult, but you could compress over the left ventricle and save lives. Thank you.